Breaking news, breaking news. WEF says CBDCs must be implanted under your skin if you want to participate in society. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Recha, Kodash. Double honors to my apostles and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Lord's hopeful elect scattered abroad. All right, I'm the brother Taz of War, back at you once again, here to do a quick lesson. All right, in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. It's more so just a report, right? A report. The young brother in the camp, he sent me this screenshot of this article, and he didn't give me a link, so I went to Google, right, as we always do. Went to Google, I typed it in, and surely but sure, there's articles, man. All right, and there's a YouTube video. I didn't click it. I'm not sure of the subscription of the YouTube video, right? But this came out about 7 hours ago, and as you can see on the screen, it says 4 hours ago. All right, whatever that is. But anyway, right, the YouTube video says 7 hours ago. Matter of fact, let me click it. Let me just click it.
I want to start by saying
oh, it's a brother. It's a brother. All right, let me see. Hold on.
Double honors to the elders and apostles and Great Millstone.
It's a brother. You know, I've never seen a subscription. I don't know what brother this is. A Shalakia, bro, but Shalom. All right. Brother put this up. He put this up 7 hours ago. All right. But you know, it's just a report. It's news, man. And we already knew. You know, it's in the agenda. It's in the agenda of the elite. You know, this is where it's headed. You know, this is the end goal. You know, the interview, Elder Apostle Gabar, he always bring it up. He always bring it, remind you that there was an interview with Alex Jones and Aaron Russo, and Aaron Russo spilled the beans. You know, and we believe they killed him for that. You know, he actually died after that. But you know, he said in the video that, you know, one of the Rothschilds or whoever he talked to, so-called elite, put him on game, you know, and said they want everyone microchip. Make a long story short, you got to watch the interview. But we know this because also most and foremost is Bible prophecy. All right, it's Bible prophecy, Revelations 13:16 on down. Okay, he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in his right hand or on his forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. So as I Googled it, right? As I Googled it, they actually put it, how can I describe this? It's better off for me to show you, because normally they don't put it in a bracket like this, right? But look, I mean, if you can see, they put it in a bracket, you know, and then they put the links of the articles under it. So it says WEF says CBDCs must be implanted under your skin if you want to participate in society. The WEF has declared that all citizens must be implanted with the CBDC CHIP. All right, you know what CHIP is, in the very near future, in order to be able to fully participate in society and do basic things such as purchase food and water. So as we get closer and closer, all right, this devil is getting bolder and bolder, because eventually he's just gonna have to come out with it. You know, they used to say this was a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy fact. All right, and we're getting closer and closer. So what I would like to do, I was gonna read this article, but I gotta drive at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight the words, and I'm gonna let the phone do the reading for me. All right.
The WEF has declared that all citizens must be implanted with a CBDC microchip in the very near future in order to be able to fully participate in society and do basic things, such as purchase food and water. According to Professor Richard Werner, in the very near future, citizens will need to use the latest technology, such as a CBDC chip implant, in order to access their bank accounts.
Right. And the guy that's said this, his name is Richard Werner, Professor Richard Werner. So I know there has to be some type of video, because you know nowadays everything is recorded as well and placed in articles. So I would love to see the video, and if I find it, I'll post it, you know, put it out there. But let's continue, right? In fact, let's read that again.
The WEF has declared that all citizens must be implanted with a CBDC microchip in the very near future in order to be able to fully participate in society and do basic things, such as purchase food and water. According to Professor Richard Werner, in the very near future, citizens will need to use the latest technology, such as a CBDC chip implant, in order to access their bank accounts.
All right. Okay.
Professor Richard A. Werner is an economist and professor of banking and finance. He is known as the proponent of a new post-crisis monetary policy he called quantitative easing, which he proposed in Japan in 1995 as chief economist of a British investment bank. He has also worked as a researcher at the University of Oxford, the Bank of Japan, the Development Bank of Japan, and the Asian Development Bank. He is involved in supporting the establishment of Professor Richard A. Werner is an economist and professor of banking and finance. He is known as the proponent of a new post-crisis monetary policy he called quantitative easing, which he proposed in Japan in 1995 as chief economist of a British investment bank. He has also worked as a researcher at the University of Oxford, the Bank of Japan, the Development Bank of Japan, and the Asian Development Bank. He is involved in supporting the establishment of not-for-profit community banks through an initiative called Local First SIC. Expose Newscom reports, at the Amsterdam Science Summit 2022, Prof. Werner gave a lecture on central bank digital currencies CBDCs and the 2030 agenda. At the sidelines of this year's Amsterdam Science Summit, he spoke to Ivor Cummins about CBDCs and how high inflation has been orchestrated by central banks to further their agenda.
Alright, so this is a real guy, man. You know, this is real news. You know, let me continue here. And this is going to be a real short lesson. You know, you got to work with me. I'm driving. I'm trying to read an article at the same time. You know?
There are two aspects to monetary policies that Professor Werner proposed, 1 and 2. One is for the central bank to step in and purchase the non-performing assets in the banking system. The central bank buys up non-performing assets at face value and the problem is solved. Banks have a strong balance sheet. But that won't be enough to get banks to increase credit. So, Professor Werner proposed 2, which allows the central bank to force the banks to create more money and push it into the economy. This would be accomplished with central banks buying assets, e.g., property, from the non-bank sectors. The money the non-bank sectors receive from the sale of the property would then be deposited into the seller's bank account. When an economy is experiencing deflation, that's how central banks can push money into the economy directly, Prof. Werner explained.
So, you know, he's basically telling you, you know, that this is purposely done. Let's hear that again.
There are aspects like monetary policy that Professor Werner proposed. 1 and 2 is for the central bank to purchase the non-performing assets in the banking system. The central bank buys up non-performing assets at face value and the problem is solved. Banks have a strong balance sheet. But that won't be enough to get banks to increase credit. So, Professor Werner proposed to which allows the central bank to force the banks to create money and it into the economy. This would be accomplished with central banks buying assets, e.g., property, from the non-bank sectors. The money the non-bank sectors receive from the sale of the property would then be deposited into the seller's bank account. When an economy is experiencing deflation, that's how central banks can push money into the economy directly, Prof. Werner explained. One was followed by Japan in the 1980s, but the USA disallowed Japan subsequently using two. And then out of the blue and at the wrong time, two was adopted by the US Federal Reserve and other central banks in March 2020. The intention of adopting two at that time was to cause high inflation. Why? To move economies onto a CBDC system. You have to think of CBDCs as a control system or a permit system, not a currency, Professor Werner explained. It's a conditional currency based on you actually getting that permit. Now, if you happen to be some kind of critic of government policy or a critic of central banks, this could be difficult. Or if you dare to step out of the 15-minute city zone, maybe you'll find that, oh, my CBDC is not working. Of course, these are things we've seen already in China. There's plenty of videos where somebody tries to use it to buy a ticket and it doesn't work because his social credit scores are low. And, effectively, there's no real right to appeal. With very few people controlling the very many, the controllers will use computers and algorithms to run the system. If you appeal the blocking of CBDCs, you'll be dealing with automated responses. Professor Werner explained that the central planners, as he calls them, orchestrate inflation to cover up changes to banking systems. For example, in the 1970s, high inflation was orchestrated to cover up the move of the gold-backed US dollar to the petrodollar. And the high inflation we've experienced in 2020/2022 has been orchestrated to cover the move of petrodollar to CBDCs.
Alright, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave a link to the article. Satan fucking with my speaker, my Bluetooth service, connection. It's all stuttering. And what he sound like, I don't know who this guy is. Sounds like a whistleblower. I don't know if he works for them. Maybe he does. And he's sounding the alarm. But he sounds like he's a kind of, a whistleblower. But anyway, you heard it, man. Alright, I hope this was edifying. I hope, you can actually understand what's going on. You can always pause and rewind the video. But the point is that you've been warned by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. Alright? The prophets have warned you. Alright? Because the Lord sent the prophets out to warn you these things before these things come to pass. That's what prophet is, man. Alright? The word prophet means to say before. The Lord sent forth the prophets. They speak of the prophecies of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And when it comes to pass, as the scriptures say, then you would know there was a prophet among you. Alright? And I would say prophets with an S, because the brothers are prophesizing, man. Alright? Throughout the four corners of the world. Okay, earlier I did a lesson on the 144,000, and that's the men, consist of prophets. Right? The prophets. So, Lord willing, you already know the scriptures. Revelations 13:16. I think about Isaiah 32. Alright, the instrument of the chul is evil. He devises a wicked device to destroy the poor. Or what's that? I think I'm probably mixing Psalms 10 as well. Alright, but Isaiah 32, the chul. Alright, that's Esau. Revelations 13:16, which I quoted a little bit earlier. Alright, and this is prophecy. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Recha Kodash. Double honors to my apostles and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Lord's elect. Shalom.